everybody, and thank you for joining me today. This is day 3, and I just want to walk you through some of the things that I did today. As you saw, I hope you saw in my previous videos. If you watched them, I really hope you did. I decided that we're going to be moving into the renovation phase rather than just painting phase for our bathroom. So now that we're doing a full renovation, you may have seen in that previous video that there was also some floor issues. So we decided that we're going to go ahead and change that floor out. And in order to do that, I've got to get that ceramic tile up. Now, lifting ceramic tile, if it's laid correctly, can be a little bit of a challenge because, you know, ceramic tile is meant to be more of a permanent installation, you know, and you've got that cement mortar underneath it, grout in between it, you know, it's really usually stuck to the floor pretty good. So, getting that off is usually no piece of cake. So, basically, the main tool that I use in order to remove ceramic tile whenever I have to do it. I've only done it once or twice before. I really prefer not to do that. If I'm going to be removing a ceramic tile, I use a floor scraper or a floor chisel. I have an example of one right here. You can see what it looks like. It's a long-handled tool. You don't have to be on your hands and knees when you use it. You can stand up when you use it. Pretty hefty. It's somewhere between 5 and 10 pounds. It's solid on top. Got a nice steel blade. They run somewhere between $35 and $50 at whatever hardware store you pick them up from. I guess it just depends on what store you go to and what brand you get. This one here is quite old, and I don't use it very often. So anyway, the scraper is really the main tool for getting those tiles pried up. You know, if you want to just plow through it real quick. It can be a little bit destructive, so make sure you're careful if you're getting close to a wall or a bathtub or a toilet that you don't want destroyed. But you just kind of get it right underneath that tile and just jam it in there and knock that tile right up. It usually breaks the tile into a whole bunch of pieces. I'm going to show you what actually came of my progress today. You're going to see throughout the video the pile of tiles that are in the bathroom. And you're going to notice on the floor that even though the tiles have been pulled up, there is still quite a bit of mortar stuck to the ground. Now, I don't know if I mentioned it in the video or not. We'll just have to see. I guess we're both going to be surprised by that. But I tried to scrape it. I tried to scrape it with the floor scraper or floor chisel, whatever you want to call it. And it just did not want to come up. I also used a claw hammer and a chisel, and I was actually able to get some of that up by doing it by hand. I used a very large, wide, small chisel. Well, large hand chisel, but it's small in comparison to the floor chisel, and a hammer, a mallet, and I just hit it. And I would knock that mortar right off the subfloor. It did cause some damage to the subfloor, so I will need to be replacing that. But there's also some damage to the subfloor that I found underneath. Found some water damage that I'm not sure where it came from. But I'm going to be done talking here. I've got another solution that I'll show you after the end of the video, and I'll let you know what I came up with for getting all that mortar off pretty quick. So anyway, just take a watch and let me know what you think. Get some comments down below if you have any better ways of getting tile off the floor, but this is my way, and take a look. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so my daily update today brings you this new exciting installment. As you can see here, we have a little bit of damage underneath the tiles. So I'm going to have to put in a new subfloor, which I'm going to go out to the store to get today. But I am removing all of the tile right now. The tool that I use for that is, I'm going to set that right here so you can take a look at it. It is a long-handled, looks like a giant spade chisel. And all you do is you just jam it right into the underside of the tile and it pops them right up. The process is pretty simple, but of course it makes an enormous mess. Looks as if the only damage is this area here, and I can't quite figure out where that could have possibly come from because all the water in the room seems like everything's dry around it. So this right here could have come from when I was trying to take the wallpaper off the wall and it got wet underneath. But it just seems like this is a much older stain because it looks as if the wood is starting to rot away. So it's very possible that this could have been something from a long time ago that just got exacerbated by the wallpaper removal. So I'm not sure what may have leaked at some point, but it seems like the rest of that subfloor is okay. It's just this one area right here. There's no water around it that I can see in any of the areas. There's no pipes in that area that would be spraying out water or anything like that. That's just a bare wall, and the other side of that wall is a bedroom. So my guess is it's just a lot of time of sitting water in there. Maybe there was some damage at one point, and then it got wet again when I was removing the wallpaper. So that's pretty much my update for right now. The tile's coming up fairly easily. It's taken me for this space, which is about 5 foot by 5 foot, taken me about a half hour to get all this tile up. I'm going to have to do a little bit more scraping to get the rest of the mortar off and get it smooth. I'm going to get as much of it off as I can so that the new subfloor, when I lay it down, will be nice and flat and smooth. So that's the process as it's going right now, and I will keep you updated as things change. Have a wonderful day, everybody. All right, so as you can see, that is a pretty big mess. And to be honest with you, it's not really that big of a room. So if you think about it, that's about a 25 square foot space, and that is a huge mess of tile. And getting that up took me probably close to an hour to get that tile up, maybe 45 minutes or so. We'll just say 45 minutes. But anyway, the process was actually, it was, labor intensive, give you a good workout, but it was easy to do in a sense that it didn't take a whole lot of skill. That's just all muscle right there. So I got all that tile up, like I said, about 45 minutes, and now I'm left having to contend with all that mortar that's left over. So the question becomes, how am I going to get that mortar off? And I've got a tool here for you. I'm going to show you that tool. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, yeah, I found it already. All right, I got the box right down here. Let me get that. What I purchased was a Ryobi 7.5 amp 900 watt angle grinder. I didn't have an angle grinder before. I just always borrowed my dad's, but now that he's passed away, I don't have that access to that tool anymore. But this is a Ryobi angle grinder, 4.5 inch. It's got a 4.5 inch blade on it, or I guess you'd call it a grinding plate, grinding wheel surface. 4.5 inches. It is super powerful. This is AC. This is not a cordless or battery operated device. I love battery operated drills and things like that, but when it comes to needing some muscle behind something, I just didn't want to go with a battery operated device that I didn't know whether or not it was going to have that torque necessary to get into that mortar, to get into that really hard cement like mortar that's underneath there. So I went ahead and picked this up. This was about $65 at my local Home Depot with tax or so, something like that. But the nice thing about having that is it's got that side handle, so you can actually put a lot of pressure on it with two different hands. And I'm going to show it to you here. Let me grab it off the screen here. So this is basically what it looks like. If you've never used one before, it's actually real powerful. All right, and what I have on this thing is it's basically a cement grinding blade. This right here actually was half the price of the tool. This also costs about $65 at the Home Depot. But it's like a diamond blade made specifically for concrete, cement, brick, that sort of thing, where if you need to grind away stonework, this is the blade to do it with. So the entire contraption altogether costs about $130. Like I said, I've used them before. I just never owned one myself. So went out and bought it just for this project. But I'm going to be using it for a lot of projects now, because I always find myself saying, damn, I wish I had an angle grinder. I wish I had my angle grinder, my dad's angle grinder, and I just never had one. So I'm like, well, I guess no time like the present to pick one up. So I picked it up, and actually this made very short work of the mortar. I was considering making a video while doing that, but I just want to take a moment here. I'm going to set this down because I'm about to break something with it. Anyway, I just wanted to give a little public service announcement about that removal of that mortar on the floor. If you're not going to do the hammer and chisel routine, which will take forever, okay, and you can't get it up with that big floor chisel, all right, and you decide to go the angle grinder route, I'm going to give you some advice here. What you need to make sure, if you're going to use this angle grinder and this, mortar plate, okay, or cement plate, make sure you have a respirator. Absolutely 100%, because let me tell you, this made dust like none other. I thought I was in the middle of a desert and a dust storm. It got so bad in that little bathroom, I had to keep the door shut, because if I let the door stay open, the entire house would be a giant plume of dust. So I had to shut the door. All right, and you had about 10 seconds of working time before you had to stop. Now, why would I have to stop, would you say? You had to stop because you couldn't see the floor anymore. It created so much dust in about 10 to 15 seconds that I literally could not see the floor anymore. It was incredible. Now, I did not purchase a respirator because I am not, up on doing this sort of thing when it comes to grinding away mortar. I've only done it, like I said, I've only taken, a little bit of mortar off a couple of times. That's not my thing. I'm not a tile guy, right? So anyway, I thought, well, I got this. The guy at the store told me, he says, make sure you wear a dust mask. I'm like, a dust mask? And I'm like, oh, all right, yeah, of course I have a mask. I got 5,000 of them that are sitting around the house everywhere because of COVID and everything, So I'm like, okay, well, I'll put on a mask and I'll put on some safety glasses, safety first, always use your safety protection. And I'll just go to town and grind that stuff off. Well, holy Jesus, you would not believe the amount of dust that thing made. I ended up working for about 2 minutes before I had to leave the room coughing. I then proceeded now to put on 3 masks. I put on that blue one, that one that everybody wears when you have their COVID or their fever or flu or whatever, the medical mask. Then over the top of that, I put on a cloth mask that had an N95 filter in it. Put that over the top of the blue mask. Then I put on one of those, those things that people wear when they go to rob a bank. Those they look like a tube. You put them up on, yeah. Anyway, so I had that thing up all the way up to my eyes. So I had 3 different layers plus that little N95 filter in there. I had my glasses on. I had a bandana over my hair. And I walked out of there with so much dust in my nose, even after having 3 separate masks on. I mean, Jesus, it was just insane. So my advice to you is do not do this job unless you have a respirator. 1 mask, 2 masks, 3 masks. I don't care how many masks you have. It's not going to work. I was coughing for 2 days straight, trying to get that crap out of my lungs. And it just was not good. With 3 masks on, I was blowing gray snot. I'm sorry, that's disgusting, but I was blowing the nastiest stuff out of my face for 2 days straight. So get yourself a respirator if you are going to use an angle grinder on any kind of tile work. Just do it. Okay, wear your safety glasses, wear your goggles, make sure you got all your clothes on, thick clothes. Don't let that stuff get all over your house. I'm still cleaning the dust up in our house from grinding that stuff out. But putting all that danger and safety issues aside, that angle grinder made quick work of that bathroom floor. I was able to get all of that mortar up inside of an hour. I ground it straight down to the wood, no problem at all. Let me tell you, that floor is smooth as can be. However, as I mentioned in the beginning of the video, there is some damage to the subfloor. So I'm going to be changing that subfloor out, and I'll show you a little video what that looks like when I get that all done. But anyway, I'm really glad that you came along and watched this video with me today. If you like what you see, check out some of the other videos in this video series and, some of the videos that I have linked right here. But please also remember to like and subscribe, and I really appreciate you watching. So have a great day, and God bless you.